now tuned into the greatest.
I did a little bit of remodeling to my factory in Cave Factory. Playing this mod pack for a little bit. 8 days to be precise. And I wanted to put a video together for my cave factory. But first, let's have a round of applause for Tismas, the creator of this mod pack. Not like that. Be serious. Alright, let the tour begin. I started out in a little circle with a mob spawner, just like everybody else will. And then I created this. This is my first build in here. I called it Sushi Belt Ore Generator. Lava, water, drills break the blocks. They fall into this belt. They drop down. All the blocks get sorted into these barrels here. Ores and other stuff keep going, get crushed right here. All your gems get sorted into there. Anything that needs to be smelted keeps going along the belt here and gets cooked in the lava, and then it gets placed over here in their drawers. And then I used this fan for power for create, and then I realized that's a lot going on, so we need a better source for power. So I added a kelp farm in. 2 kelp farms. One on each side. A lot of plants, pistons, observers. When the observer sees the kelp grown, it activates the pistons, chops the kelp, and then the kelp goes up on top here in this waterfall, drops onto that belt, goes into this crate here. That crate pulls it out for power. It's being burnt in a furnace, and that powers this furnace engine, which powers all the crate stuff other than the sushi wheel in this pack. I have a bunch of these set up throughout the factory. And I added steel. This was probably the coolest build that I did in here as far as I'm concerned. So in here I have 6 coke ovens. I was putting blocks of coal in here. That turns it into coal coke. And then you also get a liquid from here that is used to create treated wood planks. So when it processes it, it drops it out through this chute onto this belt line here. This belt line goes through 2 sorters. One sorts the bucket and one sorts the coal coke. Coal coke goes into here. The bucket continues to travel up into this mechanical crafter, and it would go into the center there, and then that crafts it into the treated planks. The empty buckets continue along the belt line and then go back up top here. And I had it traveling this belt system all the way around in hopes that these funnels would pull it back in, but that never really worked because this chest would fill up with all the buckets. So I had to add this item pipeline on top and then pulling the buckets back out, sending them each to the 6 coke ovens. So you got the coal coke, and then that comes down here. Coal coke goes into these improved blast furnaces, and then I was adding bricks of iron into here, blocks of iron. That turns it into steel. 2 improved furnaces, 4 blast furnace heaters, preheaters that are being powered by a water wheel over here. Now that crate stuff up there is also using kelp to power it. Kelp comes in through a pipe, goes into the furnace, that gets burnt, turns it into dried kelp. Dried kelp goes into this crafter here, turns it into the blocks. The blocks get fed back in to keep this rocking and rolling. Then in here, I was going to make the planks differently, but this never panned out, so I just kept that because I think it looks cool. That was where I was keeping all the liquid. And I moved on. I added another kelp farm here because the first one wasn't producing enough. But now I have an unlimited supply of kelp. In here is 171,000 pieces of kelp. That's enough. So I wanted to get into immersive engineering. I needed two things. I got a sugarcane farm here and an industrial hemp farm there. The hemp seeds and the sugarcane go into two industrial squeezers. One fermenter, rather. The sugarcane goes into a fermenter. And the hemp seeds go into a squeezer. That processes them down into ethanol and plant oil. They go into this refinery to get turned into biodiesel. The biodiesel runs this diesel generator, which is powering the arc furnace, and also a crusher. Now, when I built this crusher, I fell in here and I died. So that gave me an idea. Let's make a cool mob farm. I never made a video about this because it's totally unnecessary for this mod pack. You end up killing thousands of zombies doing blood magic, so you don't really need a mob farm. But here's the mob farm that I built. The mobs spawn up here. These belts turn fans inside the mob farm, and it pushes the mobs down the hole there, and then they fall into that crusher. Whatever they drop goes on this belt system here, and then gets put into these crates here. I have the mob farm turned off right now, so nothing's spawning in there. But to activate it, I added redstone lights up here. This switch controls these lights. That would turn the lights off. Then, if you look in there now with F7, you can see all the red X's. Mobs will spawn in there as long as I'm, whatever it is, 27 blocks away from here. Turn this back on. We don't want anything spawning right now. So this water wheel is powering the crusher. Like I said, none of this is necessary for this mod pack, but it came out cool. It's just not really necessary for this pack. I also made a grow room. These water wheels here power all this until I got to the generator, because you need something to power it before you get to the generator. So this grow room, I have water wheels in here, and then a bunch of garden cloches growing all the stuff that you need for the pack. Don't fall into your crusher, you'll die. Let me eat. Alright, moving on. You know what, before we go over there, here's another area that I never really showed in video. This is a tree farm. I have dark oak growing here. That swings around, cuts trees down, pushes them into here, and then the logs get put into here, turned into planks, and then those planks get shot into the room where I'm making the steel and the treated wood planks. Then I also added this here. This is like a cow crammer. Water wheel powers these garden cloches. Hold on, let me turn this down. Water wheel powers these garden cloches, and these are growing wheat. The wheat seeds get put in this box. The wheat goes in this box. The wheat gets put into this deployer, and it feeds the cows, and it keeps feeding cows, and they have nowhere to go, so they die. Their stuff gets put into these boxes here, meat and leather. Same thing with the chickens. The chickens get the seeds, the deployer feeds them seeds, they get crammed, die, and all their stuff goes into these boxes. Alright, moving on. So, I detailed this area a little bit more. It was all stone in my last video. We went through, updated it, made it look and match the rest. I think it turned out pretty cool. We got Tier 5 blood altar. All of this is all hidden underneath the ground here, except for the top. And then underneath here, there's a farm. We have player damage traps in there with 2 spawners. One of them is wither skeletons. This turns it on and activates it. You can barely see them, but if I go down here, wither skeletons. Player damage traps kill them. And then there's also a blaze spawner in there. And I need the blaze spawner because I'm using blaze rods for power. Let me turn this off. Also, with the tier 5 altar, I was able to create creative fluid tanks on there. I think it was like 1 million liquid people in the altar. You put a regular fluid tank, create fluid tank on there, it turns it into creative fluid tank. So I did one for each smelter here. This is lava, this is blazing blood. So with the blaze rods, using them, create power, RF, using blazing generators. I have 8 blazing generators, 8 blazing agitators, and it's creating, right now I have a battery system here that holds 232 million RF. So that was pretty cool to play around with. That's something I never played with. Another thing that was neat was this is all nether material generator. You've got blue ice in the back there, lava, and then soul soil underneath here. Mechanical drills break the blocks. This ender hopper puts it all into here. And then all the nether stuff goes into these crates here. We also have one for end material generator. This was falling lava. I forget what's underneath there. I did make a video of it. It's some kind of like terminite block or something. And then water on the side there. That forms all the end materials that you see here. Another cool thing in this pack is the Twilight Forest. Another area that I've never played around with in Minecraft. So it was cool to experience Twilight Forest and get trophies. Hang up my trophy wall. One of the last things that I dabbled in this mod pack was mine colonies. This was cool because it was my first time messing around with it. There's a lot of babysitting involved in it because the builder breaks every torch. So mobs spawn and try to kill everyone. And then you do have a guard, but it seemed like this guard slept more than killed anything. Thanks for your help, Alexia. So that is a tour of my factory. We didn't really get that right, did we? That is a tour of my factory. Thanks for checking out the video, y'all. Have fun and peace!